Hey you, welcome to the Dating Chat, a space designed to help you move beyond assumptions and guesswork so you can date and love with clarity and confidence. I'm your host, T.
Today, we're talking about dating dynamic that a lot of people encounter, but not many people fully understand. Dating a single parent. I'm sure some of you have dated or are currently dating a single parent. Data shows 30% of online daters are single parents. For single parents, dating can come with a whole different set of considerations. Time, emotional boundaries, priorities, and sometimes even guilt about balancing their own happiness with their children's well-being. So today, we're going to unpack this topic with Pat Hankin, co-author of the Field Guide for Single Parents. Her work is based on extensive data through a Reddit community she built. And the book explores the real-life challenges single parents face, including what happens when they step back into the dating world. And that's what we're talking about in this conversation. Before we get into today's episode, I have a quick reminder. This podcast is for everyone, especially for those navigating dating and relationship dynamics. Whether you're single or in a relationship, we're here to give you more clarity and wisdom so you can date and love smarter. Now, let's dive in. Hi, Pat.
Hi, T. How are you?
I'm doing great. How it's going?
It's great. It's great. What about you?
Awesome. Great day to have conversation with you, and thanks for joining me today.
Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
I've been really looking forward to talk to you about this whole research you've been working on about single parenting and single parents.
Anything you want to know.
Yeah. I'd like to start with just for you to talk about the realities about single parents, what they're facing, and of course, in relation to their dating life.
There are ways. Obviously, people do it all the time. There are ways to successfully manage around the challenges. And there are certain mindsets that are important to have and to realize. And I think you have a very good outlook on it. It was challenging. And you want to be helpful, but there are boundaries. and particularly if you are a person who's active and you like to solve problems and you want to get in the mix. We've talked about in this community that I managed for a long time was what were those boundaries and when did they start to kind of fall away, and when, the timing on those kind of things. So we can talk about what it's like to date a single parent, and then we can talk about what it's like to be a single parent.
Yeah. How about let's start off just talking about what are the realities the single parents are facing today, and also what are their dating mindset, what's going on with their dating life.
Right. So there's at least 19 million parents' households that are headed by a single parent, unpartnered, not living with anyone or anything. And I say at least because that number by the U.S. Census Bureau counts only one adult in a family group. If you have joint custody, shared custody, or any other form of that, it's only counting one of you. The U.S. Census counts 20%, but it could be as high as 35 or 40%.
According to the book you wrote, right, and you pointed out the data, which was pretty surprising to me.
There's just a large number, between 19 and 35 million single parents that are managing, kid custody as well as jobs, because 80% of single parents are in the workforce. They have a very high workforce participation rate. That's what we call it in economics. So you're dealing with somebody who's got a lot of balls in the air and that they're juggling. So for a single parent looking to date, there are certain very common issues that we talked about in terms of the way to go around that. And the biggest one, of course, is time and being able to find the time, because if you're not at work, then you're at home with them. And then if you haven't had time with them, then you want to spend the time with them. How do you look out for yourself and your own social life with that? And the advice that came out with that was that, look for unusual times. For instance, people recommended lunch.
Yeah, you mentioned that in your book too. Yeah, lunch date.
Being able to have a lunch date. In fact, there used to be a dating service here in Boston that was called lunch dates. I never know what happened to them, but obviously a lot of people have this problem. They had a whole dating service. People meet.
But that was not pointing to single parents, right?
No, but they can use it too. With 19 to 35 million people, it's pretty hard to generalize everyone's situation. Everyone's got, different family makeup, different arrangements with the former, the former spouse. It's generally, you try and pick out universal themes that seem to work for everyone. And that is, when your kids are in school, that, you got the childcare thing covered. So you're not shelling out for childcare while you're trying to go on a date. So that very much was very common and seemed to be a helpful recommendation for that concern. The other one's your unpredictable schedule. And I've dated single parents. You think you got a date coming up, and the next thing that happens is the other parent who supposedly has custody calls says, "I can't do it anyway," and your whole date got blown out, and you've made all these arrangements to go on a date with them. So you have to embrace the chaos of that. And when you're dating single people, and when you're trying to manage your schedule, and you are a single parent dating, even if you only have one nice dinner date, that can fuel you for a long time. So if someone else, just doesn't make it, or you have to cancel the date, you had a nice dinner. It was worthwhile.
You mean for single parents? You were talking about the single parents should be making effort of doing something every week to improve their dating life.
Well, it might be every month.
It's really challenging to find time.
It is.
I don't think anybody will be dating them if they just, go out once a month with them.
We're talking about meeting people, and the ability to stay online and talk to someone for a while and get to know them, just virtually is a big benefit for this segment, because you can, you're not rushing into anything. If there's any general advice for either people who are single parents wanting to date, or people who find themselves attracted to and wanting to date a single parent, is that things have to move slowly for a lot of reasons. One is the schedules that we were talking about. The other thing is not being able to rush into something too quickly, and to take it slow and to get to know people is the benefit here for everyone, which it should be.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the old days of courting. It's like when people used to court.
So why is that a particular for single parents in terms of when they're dating?
Well, some single parents are gun shy. They, had a rough go of it the last time around, and they probably want to get to know a person before that. The other issue around that is people aren't always as they present themselves. So getting to know them gets you below the surface to understand if this is somebody that you want to invest your very precious time with.
So in your book, chapter 25, when you talk about romance, you mentioned that for single parents, dating and relationships often take a back seat.
There are some people that jump right into it and are very actively looking to date once they break up with their partner.
I can see that's not ideal situation.
It tends to be the younger group, and the older group will call them out and say, whoa, man, you gotta hold on here. You gotta work on yourself first.
Yes, I've seen those people. They don't take time. They just want to find the person right away, and, ending up hurting other people.
Well, the bigger problem is their kids.
Right, of course. They're not thinking through how is that going to impact their kids.
Right. So if you have someone that you know and you introduce them in too early in the relationship, and then the relationship doesn't work and the kids have formed an attachment. And we should talk about these insights come from a community that I moderated for over 3 years of 470,000 single parents. So it's what I'm doing is bringing together universal concepts and universal solutions. The general feeling was 6 months to get to know someone before you introduce them, primarily to avoid kind of messy situations with entanglement and not.
So the 6 months is coming from the conclusions from all the single parents in the community. And after they've gone through their experiences, they're like, okay, 6 months is a good period of time to introduce.
But they did come up with other ideas to be able to as we said, that you might want to get together with someone at lunchtime or when the other parent has custody or they have a babysitter or something like that. And yes, it is lovely to hang out kind of as a little group, particularly with those ages, because they're so fun. There's no question about it. And there was a question about when do you let someone spend the night?
Oh, yes.
The universal answer to that was never. It's facetious. It's meant to say you're going to want to wait again the 6 months. And it's confusing.
For what reason?
If you have someone stay over and there's all sorts of things that happen with kids that could pretty much be unplanned, or they could walk in on you, or somebody could get sick. There's all sorts of things could be very unromantic about that situation. You might have early termination of a relationship over it. Also, some people talked about that their parents had done that to them when they were children.
Right.
There was enough downvotes on that one that I think you have to take.
Yes, I'm looking at this right now in front of me, and in your chapter, there is a big section said, would you have someone spend a night? And one of the quote from single parent community members said, my mom was a single mom and would do this. I hated it. I used to lay in my bed and cry and felt trapped in my own room. I felt so sad reading that.
So did I. Yeah. You don't always understand the impact of making your own needs met and what they have, the effect on particularly children.
For this kid, if his mom was not seeing somebody regularly, that's an issue, right? If you're seeing somebody regularly, seeing one person in a serious relationship, then that shouldn't be the issue, right? You shouldn't be having feelings like this.
I think it's something that definitely should be discussed. It's obviously there. It's uncomfortable. Teenagers are a whole nother set with everything they're going through anyway. Toddler might not recognize the difference between that and anybody else spending night. Yeah.
If you have a large house where people are just sleeping at different directions of the rooms, then you don't really run into each other, right?
Yeah. It complicates things when you probably don't want to, and the solution's easy enough.
I understand.
You get a hotel room, we get a sitter, and go out. On the topic of dating it's very attractive to date a single parent because they generally have, the maturity that they have to manage the situation they're in.
Because as parents already, they're responsible.
Yeah. And I would say to single parents out there who want to date, given that the positive viewpoint that you have and other people, that this is a positive in your direction. Also, some people like the idea of instant family.
But again, in your chapter 25, Romance, you also said most parents do want to find a soulmate, someone to share the joys and burdens of parenthood.
We're social people. We like to pair up.
The burdens of parenthood to be expected to share?
Mm-hmm.
That sounds stressful already.
Let's expand that. It's actually not necessary. In fact, most single parents would talk about that they don't want someone to come in and be a step parent. They're not looking for a step parent. What they're looking for is a positive force in their life. And I think that is something that is the right mindset to have with that. Not that you want to replace the partner you had before to do all the parenting. And in fact, a lot of the parents in there did not want someone to overstep, not even to have an opinion on how they're parenting. And certainly not to have an opinion if there's the family dynamics with the other parent if they're around. The thing about parenthood is if you're a single parent, it's lonely. And even if this is social interaction is there, it's something that can help counterbalance that. And that's why I said we're social people.
I would love to just hear more about, you said most parents want to share a soulmate to share the burden of their parenthood.
Yeah, they do. And they want to go out and see someone. There are just so many challenges. And we give people options and ways and ideas on how to get around those things, I think. So let's talk more about someone who wants to date a single parent and some of the tips around that. You're never the number one priority with this person. The priority is their children. And that is something, if you can get your head around, can help you work in terms of taking the relationship to the next level with them. If you're having a problem with that dates might get canceled or that, there's so many kids things that have to be attended to, then it's probably not someone you're going to want to date.
Is that a type of burden you're referring to?
Yeah.
It's all about busy schedules with kids.
Well, it changes, right? There's different ages, different schedules, numbers of kids. It's all variable to that. But there are certain common things, which is being
I see.
the real difference between dating someone that's a single parent is that you're not going to be the priority. And that's hard for a lot of people. And other people are, yeah, I get it. There's just so many other advantages to this person. They're mature, they're dependable, they're steady. But if you can get to that and then start to work forward with it, then that will help you if that's a person you want to.
So in terms of treating their partner, people they're dating as priority or not, are there differences between men and women?
Well, I think there's difference between healthy and not healthy. You really do want someone to make their kids a priority. It's good for everybody.
Our female single parents are more like treating their kids as a priority as compared to male single parents? Like in terms of when the relationship comes in.
Yeah, I did not see that at all, I have to say, either in what I did 3 years ago or what I looked on recently. You'll be important. You won't be a priority. It's going to be difficult. You could be equal priority.
Exactly. So I think nobody wants to feel they're less important. I think everything's important. Kids, work, partner, parents, everybody's important. A kid
Right.
is special. And you have huge responsibility towards your kid. But if because of that you're making your partner feel less important, I think the relationship will really have a hard time to work out.
Yes, I can see that. And I think this is why it's easier to take it over time because the relationship will grow. Everybody brings something different to a relationship. You want to make sure that what you can bring is going to be valued in the relationship and that your participation in it is going to be valued by the other person, that you're going to value them, and you can kind of deal with those things that come up during the day and over the years. But yes, I understand exactly what you're saying, and you're perfectly valid.
What do you think should be the right conversation to have when you go on a date with a single parent and just to understand this person is going to prioritize his relationship or prioritize his, future partner? I think it sounds like it's really important question to ask at this point because you don't want to step into a relationship with a single parent without knowing what's going to happen and how this person's mindset is about how to prioritize, how to balance different relationships.
Yeah. T, I think that they don't know either. That's my guess. I am not a dating coach. I'm a researcher. I know I can tell you how people have said that they
Yeah,
feel
I would
about
say
it.
that's a pretty good thing to think over for our audience.
Uh-huh. Yeah, absolutely. And I remember dating a single dad.
You did.
And yeah, the dynamics in his relation, he was fresh out of the chute too, which is a real problem because he hasn't sort of figured himself out. And I think on the third date, he said, "So where do you see this going?" It felt like a challenge.
Wow. I know, right?
I got third date. I don't know.
Was he just very serious
I didn't
about you?
no idea. I have no
How did you
idea.
answer?
So where do you see this going? I felt like he wanted to break up with me, to be honest, to come at me with that question on the third date. And I was just there to enjoy my dinner.
You didn't respond?
But no,
What?
I was completely taken off guard.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
I did not. Yeah, I'm not really good on my feet, T. I got to think about things.
So, I guess you never see him again after the dinner.
No.
I see. Okay.
Nor did he pursue it either.
Well,
it is what we talk about and what the community talks about and what single parents talk about. The tips to dating them is a gradual involvement. The third date, I kind of didn't think that was too gradual, but other people might think it was.
I think he was really looking forward. He had his own timeline finding a wife or finding a, for his kids.
I think so. I think so. The other tip that they give is any pressure from either party to move in together before a year is a red flag. Like, what are they looking for? What do they really want? Do you feel comfortable with that? And that it's trust your gut.
Is it for the relationship or for kids?
Yeah, it's a question. Why is it that you want this person to move in with you, and how do you see, and all those questions that you just asked.
Oh, you mean if you want to move in together, then you have to think hard on the impact on your relationship as well as on your kids.
Right. And it's people are saying, we're talking 1 year. I think that was what I heard over and over again, that decision comes at about the 1 year.
Really? At the Reddit community? Okay, cool. Interesting. That's a good number to know.
What's the year mark without kids that you look at?
You're asking me. For me, okay.
Yes. Well, a sample of one is good.
I don't see any point of moving in until I'm married. That's me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that's a good one.
Okay. Time together at each other's houses and go travel together. But yeah.
Do you think we're getting back to that now?
Back to the old traditional ways?
Yeah.
I say some people because I am.
You're the expert. You've taught me so much about this dating bit, about online dating and everything. Do you think that this is like people are courting longer, that they're making sure they're committed?
Okay, so yes, I do have some thought on that because how crazy online dating has turned out to be in the past few years, and especially today, right? People just do meetups or people on Tinder, they will just hook up one night stands. Lots going on. So our traditional values have been washed away over the years, and now we're facing the most challenging time of finding the right partner. So I think a lot of people start thinking how I should be dating. What should be the right actions to take when I'm dating someone to be able to have a long-term relationship. So I do think there are a group of people that advocates this. However, it's also being challenged. It's different voices, different strategies and opinions, whether you should move in together or not. I would say from impression I get is men would often vote for moving in together. They needed to know whether they're sexually compatible or not to be able to have a relationship, which I totally disagree because to be able to have that sexual compatibility is nothing to do with physical. It's a more emotional connection. If you're emotionally connected in deep level, the sex will be great. Yeah, so I don't think that need to be tested.
No trial runs on that one.
I just did a whole speech about my personal opinion on this one.
I'm sure you hear a lot from your listeners too. Do they give you feedback on those topics?
Yes, especially Asian women. We tend to value that more
than Asian men,
than other cultures.
Other cultures. Well, you got me in your camp as far as what I'd say, but my opinion doesn't matter. I'm just the person who reads the data and the information.
Before I should be asking you, what intrigued you to start doing the work you did on this research about single parents over Reddit community?
Well, I'm a service-minded person. I was a volunteer with the Red Cross for many years. You don't get paid doing that. I always have some volunteer project going on, even as a single parent. And it was something my daughter and I would do together. We'd volunteer and do work with that. And in 21, which was the pandemic slowdown, I had a lot more time. My daughter had gone to university. I started poking around and looking things up around single parents and found this community.
Why single parents?
Because I am one.
I see.
And I'm on the other side of it, right? My daughter's now a scientist. She's a grown woman. And I felt I had something to contribute to people going through this experience currently. I found my background had been moderating online communities for corporations, and particularly in financial services, which is my background. I went on and I said, well, can I be a moderator? And I never heard back from them. So I just did it. And, don't wait, be the change.
Great.
And what I saw was when I started contributing to the conversations or asking questions, the feedback I got was so overwhelmingly positive. Lots of thumbs up, right? Lots of thumbs up. And what struck me is people didn't have the information that I had gathered either professionally through my work in financial services or as a management consultant in terms of managing time and money. These people just didn't have it. and I could make their lives a lot better. And the same questions kept coming up over and over again over these 3 years. And that formed the basis for this book and how it's divided. The book is actually a reference book. It has not only the community voices, but 130 citations of research that was put into this to discuss things, because a lot of conventional wisdom doesn't work for single parents. So we crafted it to work for them. And so I spent 3 years in it, and then I had so much material, I said, well, what am I going to do with all this? And someone in the community asked, where can I read about being a single parent? And I went to look, right? And there was nothing.
Wow, that's
There's
shocking.
memoirs, there's celebrities, there's people talking about divorcing narcissists, but there's no fact-based reference.
Wow.
And that was my
I see.
goal to provide this book.
I see.
I also want to change the conversation around single parents.
Wow.
And by the way, you talked about your culture. When you look at the demographic breakout, the Asian American community has the lowest incident of single parenting.
Mm-hmm. That's a good news, right?
So, yeah, well,
That's really interesting information. Yeah.
yeah. So you can get it. Go online, look up the United States Census Bureau data, and you can see it for yourself. They also had the highest form of community support in terms of family support, intergenerational households. So did the African American community. You could see that. However, most single parents, number-wise in the United States, are white.
Yeah. So I do have a personal story to share right here, just to respond to what you just said. I have a younger brother, and, he married for years and he has 2 kids. Awesome. His marriage also went through up and downs, right? Everybody does. So, and my parents really, really helped, supported their marriage. And when they're on the edge of getting divorced, they really chopped in and providing all kind of support they could, either to the kids or financial support on some area, hiring nannies for them. So make her life easier so she's not stressed out all the time. They just did everything, and also, have a conversation with my brother. So my parents was super involved in making sure they can hold on to each other, because they really do love each other.
And was that here in?
No, it's back in China. So now
in
their
China.
marriage is much better. They have gone through that phase. I think my parents really contributed a lot to that success.
It sounds like they provided a lot of external support that reduces the stress in the
Yes.
relationship. Your parents are
And my
smart.
parents gave them a lot of room emotionally, just, help as needed.
Good job, parents.
Well, that's good to know, that data about Asian community.
Yeah, it's very tight too. I mean, I'm not a sociologist, but it goes without saying. But you did mention one thing that brought to mind. The advice, if you want to date a single parent, is to stay out of the family dynamics.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So
That's totally valid. I can totally resonate with that.
It's true. And trying to find a bad guy in the ex-partner or whatever, it's not going to take the relationship forward. It's not going to move the situation forward. There's one young fellow that I talk to at the gym a lot, and he married a single mom, and the dad has custody, actually. It's a school choice thing where your kid's going to go to school. And there was something came up on this one, and he was all stressed because he's, very conscientious stepdad. And I said, you know what, Chris, you don't have to be the smartest guy in the room on this one. Those two can work it out, and you can support the process. You don't have to fix Doug. Doug will fix himself. Appreciated that.
I also dig some data, and I don't know if it's going to surprise you or not. Let me share.
Okay, I got my pen ready.
I found out their data showed on Match.com has 59% online daters are single parents. More than half
wow.
are single parents dating on Match.com.
Because it works for them as a venue, right? It's a lot of reasons. People are single because of death, because of divorce, because of abandonment, and because of choice. So there's lots of reasons for that. But what surprises me is there's 59% that are willing to say that they're a single parent. Because, there's some problems with people who target single moms.
You also
index,
mentioned that in the book
yeah.
there's a lot of bad intention targeting that.
Well, it's the internet.
Yeah.
It's the internet. So that you should do your research.
Yeah.
If you go in there were ways that people checked out the person talking to them and could see if they were real or fake. Didn't know you could do those things. I was pleasantly surprised to be educated on how you can check out whether somebody really is who they say they are.
So in your book, chapter 24, there's something you said about this. You said, this is the number one reason single mothers avoid dating.
It is when you ask them why they don't date, that comes up as the first one. They're afraid. And, do you want to get to know this person and bring them into your family? You had a rough go of it the first time and maybe you don't trust your judgment or whatever. And it's hard. On the other hand, online dating, if you can, keep yourself safe, like you just discussed, is a great place for you to talk to people and socialize with people without crossing the Rubicon, as we say there, into meeting or whatever. You can stay in the meeting, chatting, flirting stage for a while till you start to feel comfortable. Of course, it could be an AI person on the other end. You have no idea.
So earlier you mentioned that today you're going to bring 10 advices to people who might or dating single parents.
Want to. Well, it takes maturity to sit with someone else's issues, right? Whether they're positive or negative, right? It does. It does. For now, you're not the priority. So that's number one. I know. And the second one you're really going to hate. Be patient and flexible. But I know you're a patient person. You're a very patient person. You'll get into the groove. You'll figure it out. And if there's 59%, you have a pretty good chance you're going to meet someone who has kids.
Yeah.
Assume parenting competence. People don't want to be given advice on how to parent from anybody in any situation. And particularly the men are sensitive to this, the ones who have custody of their children. So to be able to just assume they're competent, and nobody likes to be given advice. So number 4 is start by focusing on you two, right? Just the two of you.
Focus on your relationship more.
Yeah, the two of you getting to know each other, going out for lunches if you manage it, dinner if you can.
Also takes away the stress from single parenting, right?
Yes, it is really nice not to have to. It's kind of a joke that you go out to have date night and then you end up talking about the kids all the time. Number 5 is expect a gradual involvement with the family. We talked about you'll meet them after 6 months, that you slowly get to know them, they get to know you. Any pressure to move in together before a year is a red flag.
Red flags.
Right. And for the person who doesn't have kids.
I see.
Yeah. It's like, why are we moving this fast? Right. That's a red flag. And this is what the advice from the people in the communities.
Okay.
We talked about staying out of the ex-partner dynamics.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what's going on the other side. You hear one side of it. Generally, this book talks about we're all imperfect, and you're imperfect. Your kids are imperfect. Your exes are imperfect. And expecting people to behave exactly as you would like them to behave is kind of a fool's errand, because people don't, and things go wrong. Things happen. So just to chill and give more wells and maybe understand what's going on versus jumping to judgment.
More understanding than judgments.
Yeah. And in expectations in the first couple months of dating, don't have any.
Great advice. I love this one.
It's just probably general. Yeah. Why? What? Tell me why. Can't get disappointed.
And expecting it's just not good in general.
Yeah. It's true. Then we talked about if you're meeting someone online, talk for a while before actually meeting in person.
Taking longer time to meet them or slowing down?
Yeah, in person. Both.
Can you explain more why?
Well, why people think that you should take your time before you actually meet a person in person? Yeah. Well, if you want to date a single person to parent, that's the tips that we're going through now. They're saying it's okay if you want to date a single parent not to have to meet them right away, is what they're saying. You can stay in be prepared to stay in the conversation for a bit.
Because single parents might be too busy to meet you.
might be too busy, or they might be a little gun
I
shy,
see.
or the things you've told me about online dating.
Oh,
I
see. I
I've
just
seen
like to
that.
be more understanding, like they have concerns.
So let them get to know you. Let them get.
Okay, that makes sense.
So
If someone listening right now is interested in dating a single
Mhm.
parent, but feels unsure about what they're stepping into, what is one question they should ask themselves before starting that relationship?
I think that there's a book that is really helpful for this. It's a book by a fellow's named Warren Berger,
Mm-hmm.
and it's called The Book of Beautiful Questions.
Oh,
And he has a whole section on questions to ask to get to know someone better,
interesting.
and questions to ask to know yourself better. I think asking questions and really listening for the responses it can't be beat, whether you're in person or virtual. It's not an interrogation. It's more open questions
Awesome.
of something like that. Yeah, I highly recommend him. He calls himself a questionologist.
Great. Thank you so much, Pat.
Yeah, well, thank you.
It was great chat. Thanks for listening to today's episode. Dating a single parent can raise a lot of questions about timing, priorities, and what a relationship really looks like when kids are part of the picture. But as we heard today, in many ways, they force people to communicate better, be clear about their intentions, and think more deeply about what they actually want. So here are 3 takeaways from today's conversation. Number 1, dating a single parent often requires more patience and flexibility. 2, meeting the kids is a big step, and timing matters more than most people realize. 3, perhaps most importantly, healthy relationships form when everyone understands their role and respects the priorities involved. If you ever dated a single parent or considered it, this episode hopefully gives you a little more clarity. If you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to subscribe, leave a rating or review, and of course, share with a friend. These simple gestures really help the podcast so much, and I appreciate your support. Check out the show notes for the links to the books. Apply to be a guest on this show. Thank you again for tuning into this episode of The Dating Chit. I'm your host, T. Until next time, keep showing up, stay kind, stay curious, and never settle for less than the love you truly deserve. P.S. One quick note for transparency. Some recommendations from the show include Amazon affiliate links. If you choose to use them, it supports the podcast at no extra cost to you. See you in the next episode.